My name is Carolyn, and I talk to the spirit world. Travel with me to a dimension filled with love, light, and joyful surprises. Welcome to Carolyn's Psychic Playroom.
Hi everyone, Carolyn Wilkins here, delighted to welcome you to another episode of Carolyn's Psychic Playroom. This episode, I have a very special guest to share with you. She is a priestess, a healer, a teacher, an author, a dancer. Basically, there's nothing this woman can't do. Louisah Teish has been an inspiration to many a woman of color, and I would say even beyond to just women in general, around the subject of healing, around the subject of connecting with our own inner divinity and doing it in a way that is authentic to the traditions of the African diaspora. So, in a few minutes, I'm going to bring her up, and we had a great conversation. We talked all about creativity, spirituality, and how to connect the two, and what it means for us now in 2021. So, I'm going to bring her on in just a minute, but before I do, I always like to offer a tarot reading for our collective. As you know, I am also a psychic, a healer, and a medium, and also a musician, by the way. But in this moment, I'm going to speak with my psychic hat on, and I'm going to bring you a message from my tarot deck. And the tarot deck that I'm using today is called the African American Tarot. It's an absolutely fabulous deck filled with gorgeous pictures. The basic archetypes come from the Rider-Waite tarot deck, the traditional tarot deck. However, the characters and the paintings are all drawn from African mythology, gods and goddesses and stories. The colors are vivid and bright, and they're also, many of the cards also are illustrated with African American ancestors from Black history. So you get to learn a little bit about Black history as well as these beautiful pictures. So without further ado, I'm going to pull us a couple of cards today. Now, this program is going to be airing sometime around mid-June, between mid-June and July. And so I'm taking a look at the energy of this time and asking my guides to bring me a message for our collective about what might be going on in those energies. Remember that Spirit is fully aware of everyone that is going to watch this program both now and later, and there will be something for you to take away from this message. It might be a general message, it might be a specific message, but let's just see. Okay, so I'm asking, what do we need to know about this period, mid-June into early July? And I'm asking the African American Tarot. I've shuffled the cards, and now I'm going to spread them. And the card that comes right here, this is the Hierophant. This is a wise man who sits as an intermediary between spirit and the material world. And this card, when it comes on a personal level, it's telling us about the importance of listening to our own inner guidance and also of speaking our truth. Once we've received that guidance, it's very connected with the throat chakra, right? With hearing, with clear speaking. And I feel that we are being called to do this more and more in the next few weeks, particularly as we approach the summer solstice, to really align with our deepest truth, connect with spirit, and then speak the messages that we are given. So that is going to be our card, the Hierophant. Take from it what is useful for you from the African American Tarot. And now, without further ado, I'm going to share this wonderful interview that I did with priestess Yeye Luisah Teish. I am thrilled and honored to have with me as my guest in the playroom the amazing, iconic Louisah Teish, who is my mentor, I am proud to say, and who has been an influential force in the world of women's spirituality, creativity, African based religious system. She's a scholar, a teacher, an author, a priestess. You name it, she has done it. So, without further ado, I'm going to welcome Louisah to the playroom. Welcome.
Alafia, Alafia. It's
Oh,
so good to see your face. It's good.
Thank you. It is such
Mhm.
a joy. So, for people who don't know about you, if there are any, tell us a little bit about how it was that you first developed this passion for spirituality and creativity, which are two of the main focuses of
Mhm.
my program. So tell us a little bit about your beginnings with that.
Well, I always tell people both credit and blame go to my mama. She is responsible for the person that you see sitting here in front of you today. I can honestly say that everything that I am, and especially everything that I do, is the outgrowth of seeds that she planted
Yes.
in me the first 7 years of my life. Okay. So I had the blessing of being born in New Orleans, okay, which itself is a city of mystery and magic and history and all kinds of culture. So we had that going for us. And then my mother herself, who was both very, very much a product of both African retentions and the influence of Native American culture from her mother, right? So, and then my mother worked in what we would call ethnic homes. So she worked in Jewish homes, she worked in Italian homes, she worked in Spanish homes, and brought all of that culture along with African retentions and Native American ways. So I grew up watching my mother sew moccasins. Okay,
Wow.
I always thought that it was funny that the only time alcohol was allowed in the house was at Christmas, and at that time we drank kosher wine.
How
You
lovely.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
so there was that multicultural influence. She also paid a lot of attention to or directed my attention. By the time we got a television, she sat me down in front of Jacques Cousteau and National Geographic. She made sure that I knew that there was nature, that there was a mystery uh, to the world. And then I have to extend that to the women of my community
Mm.
who showed me what woman's strength and woman power is. Okay.
Yes.
And these women were exuding that power and that beauty on a backdrop of the segregated South,
Mm,
on a
mm,
backdrop of fighting for civil rights, on a
mm.
backdrop of facing poverty and making a way out of no way. Okay.
Yes.
My mother also was, Ibaye, an amazing storyteller. You
I was going to ask you where you
Mhm.
got that gift from.
Yes, I mean, she would tell me a story, her around the corner yesterday,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And then 20 years later, I would be thumbing through a book of quote unquote Negro folklore and find that story that she had told me.
Wow.
So she always personalized it, and the way the elders taught in my neighborhood, it was like your intelligence was measured by your ability to decipher proverbs.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
yes.
This is also, I found out later, very, very important in African culture. So, I remember being what, 9 or 10 years old, and my mother, who stood like 5'9", weighed 250 pounds and had an
Wow.
hourglass figure,
Wow.
she came and she stood over me and she put her hands on my hips and she looked at me and she said, "Remember, baby, a cow needs her tail more than once to fan a fly." What is she talking about? What
That's
is
true.
that?
Love
You
it.
know what I'm saying? And so you spend your whole life trying to figure out what the elders are saying, and that quest um, put me on a path that led to African culture.
Of course.
Of
Of course
course.
it did.
Yeah.
And because you were growing up in New Orleans and you were around something that was already steeped in that Africanism. So I want to move a little bit forward for viewers who may not be as familiar with your work as I
Hmm.
am, but the book that really brought you into the consciousness of many people, including myself, when it first
Hmm.
came out in the 80s, I believe, was
Hmm.
Jambalaya.
Hmm.
And if you could just talk a little bit about what it was that inspired you to write that book in particular and what's in there that people might enjoy reading if
Right.
they haven't already read it.
Okay. Okay. So I have with me a spirit guide who calls herself She Who Whispers. Okay. Now, I know, I have a long list of ancestors who I address at my shrine. I have my Orishas, but She Who Whispers, I believe, is the voice of my Ori,
Okay.
the voice of my consciousness. Okay. And she became very, very Oh, hold on, Carolyn. Who is calling me?
You were.
Okay. So She Who Whispers, I believe, is the voice of my own Ori, or my developing consciousness. And as I went through various stages of my own religious development, being Catholic, being heavily involved in that, and being disillusioned by that, and then going on a search for what was going to take my spirit forward, it became very clear to me that there needed to be something that, first of all, explained, decolonized,
Mm,
okay, and made very, very clear that African spirituality is worthy of attention,
mm.
that African spirituality is not spookism. Okay.
Yes.
There
Yeah.
were simple things that needed to be explained to people to get rid of that stereotype.
Mm.
Okay. In college, I was an anthropology major with a performing arts minor. And one of the things, the biases of the social sciences was something that I had to address. Okay. Also of importance was counteracting the macho madness, okay, that was degrading women's position in
Yes.
the spiritual culture. And so I felt compelled to address that. The more I got involved with spiritual study, the more I could see that there were people who were exploiting
Yes.
folks' hunger for spiritual development, and I felt like I needed to address that. And I also encountered more and more people, especially women, who were not of our culture, but who were asking, how can I approach this respectfully? How do
Yes.
I relate to this respectfully? And so, those questions tossing around in my mind led me to writing Jambalaya, the Natural Woman's Book of Personal Charms and Practical Rituals. And it's practical because I wanted to put whatever power could be put in the hand of the person and in the hand of the community. I
Yes.
wanted to be able to do that. So I'm proud to say that Jambalaya has become a women's spirituality classic,
Yes.
that there are a number of people who tell me that this book was their launched their maiden voyage into exploring their spirituality. There are a number of people who now have gotten PhDs in the subject who say that the book was their impetus. And so I'm very, very happy to say that there's a new edition
Nice.
of it coming out. In the new edition, I give a 30-year retrospective on how things have changed. It's going to be in paperback. It has a brilliant new cover that was done by the Olokun priestess, Nedra Williams. I mean, I love the new cover. And it's going to be print, digital, and audio.
Lovely. Are you
Yes,
reading it?
I'm reading it.
Oh,
I'm
how
reading it.
wonderful.
Yes. It was quite an experience because I read it over a period of 5 days. Some days was 3 hours, some days was 6 hours. I had a wonderful crew working with me. Patrick was the engineer in the room, and a wonderful woman named Beth, who was in New York, was on the earphones and microphones. And we read, we had lunch, we talked,
Nice.
we relaxed. So I am very, very confident that the recording of it, when you listen to it, you're going to feel as if we are having lunch.
Oh, how wonderful. How fun. So,
Yes.
very quickly, then moving forward, so the book Jambalaya sort of launched you as a major figure in the
Hmm.
world of women's spirituality and also, especially, spirituality of the African diaspora. And we
Yes, ma'am.
don't have time to even begin to cover all the various traditions in which you have received initiations and
Oh my
study,
God.
but this is not just merely an academic
Mm-mm.
thing. This is an experiential journey that you yourself have traveled
That's right.
to these various sites of power and received initiations and all of
Yes.
these amazing things, which you've written about in a series of subsequent books.
Yes. Yes,
And
ma'am.
so this brings me to my question, and only because we don't have 2 hours to unpack all the things you've done. But my program here, the listeners are interested in finding that connection between spirituality and
Mm-hmm.
creativity. And
Mm-hmm.
you, as a multi author of multi books. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're also a visual artist and a
Hmm.
dancer. Is that
Yes,
not
ma'am.
true?
That's correct. That's correct.
That's what I thought. So, could you speak a little bit to someone who might be listening and going, oh my gosh, well, Teish is so talented. I could never possibly
I, I,
do
I, 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 I don't allow that.
good. Good for you.
Okay. No, 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 no. I can't. It's taboo in my world. No, 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 no. If you can talk, you can write. If you can walk, you can dance. Okay.
Lovely.
If you can feel, you can create. What the main thing that I want everybody to understand is that you are a good and blessed person. That's the first thing you got to get. Okay.
Mhm.
You have to understand that the energy of the universe is passing, coming down from the heavens into you. Okay. That energy awakens the sleeping energy of your ancestors that is laying your DNA.
Nice.
Okay. When you bring that energy into you, it's like saying to the ancestors, hey, she's ready to work. What you got for? What you got for? You see what I'm saying? And then we get these inspirations.
Nice.
If you sit down, breathe deeply, ask, quiet that mind that's always criticizing you. No, we're not listening to that. Okay.
Mhm.
And then give yourself permission
Mhm.
to let that energy flow through you and into substance, whether it's pen and paper or whether it is the food that you're cooking or what you're writing or clay or movement or anything, that is always present to you if you open up. Now, what keeps us from opening up, okay, is various kinds of past criticism and trauma,
Yes, yes, yes.
okay? And
Mhm.
so we have to heal from that, okay?
Mhm.
Not be afraid of what is going to come through. And to all those people who've been wanting to write a poem, but I'm scared, thinking maybe I could paint something, but I won't. This is what I say. You cheating the rest of us.
Yes.
We waiting to hear from you.
Yes.
We want to see what is in you. Okay.
That's yeah.
And so you have to heal. And I can speak to that really. My visual art, when I was like a child, when I was like 9 or something, I had an incident where my father burned my paintings.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah, he burned.
goodness.
Yeah, he burned my paintings because
Oh.
he didn't think that it was a good idea for a black girl in the segregated South to be thinking about being an artist. Okay,
Oh.
no, you need to learn how to be a damn good maker or at
Yeah.
most a teacher, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I internalized that wounding,
Of
right?
course
I
you did.
internalized it, okay?
Mm.
To the point even where years later, when somebody gave me a set of paints, I painted something and then I burned it. I internalized that wounding, right? And I'm messing around. I'm kind of, closeting, painting, closeted drawing. And it took people around me who were artists to say, Tish, that's good.
Yeah.
You should show that to somebody. How
Yeah.
come how come you painting on your pie plates instead of on a canvas?
Mm.
That kind of stuff. And I want to give credit where it is due. I want to give credit to Gail Williams, to Kawo Bami,
Mhm.
to Iyao Shokbo, who has passed, and to Shiloh McLeod, who now has a women's a women of color art program that
Oh,
she does. Yeah,
how
yeah, it's really
wonderful.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And Shiloh came to my house one day. She knew the story about me being afraid to paint.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, Louisah Teish, today you are going to heal.
Wow.
Today you are going to heal. And she put a 4-foot canvas in front of me and a bunch of paints. And she said, the problem is you've been looking out there and trying to paint what you see out there. I want you to go inside
Yes. Yes.
and pick up the paintbrush and paint what
Mm-hmm.
is inside of you.
That's
Okay.
it.
For 4 hours, that woman stood there and said, paint, just paint, Tish, just keep painting, Tish, paint, Tish. And I can tell you honestly, the painting that I produced that day to this day is the cover of a book
Wow.
about the writings of Octavia Butler.
Oh, shut up.
Okay? I want
Wow.
you to know
That's right.
that
Mm.
when you heal, that beauty, that message that's been simmering there,
Yes. Yes.
simmering there. And
That's right.
one of them told me, she said, understand the reason your father burned your painting was because they were too powerful. He
Yes.
saw the
Yes.
power there and
Yes.
became afraid of it.
Afraid, afraid, and afraid the way that often happens, not to go into a whole conversation
Mm-hmm.
about internalized racism, but we
Exactly.
often squash our
That's right.
children because we're afraid that society is going to
Is gonna
squash them.
squash them.
So we're going to squash them first
That's
so
right.
that they. But
Yeah.
anyway, this is amazing and wonderful. I want in our last few minutes here
Mm-hmm.
to move on to, first of all, Psychic Playroom peeps. I know you can see how amazing Louisah Teish is, how much she has to offer, what a great teacher, storyteller, mentor, spiritual leader, all of those things. What are you working on now?
Now,
Because I know
oh,
you have a few projects and I want people to be able to find out where they can reach you if
mm-hmm.
they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Rituals. Can you talk a little bit about some of the rituals you offer online?
Oh, yes. I have three exciting things going on. On the top of the list is the Words Across the Waters
Okay.
that we are doing. What happens here is we have women all over the world, okay, who get together. We get together on Zoom with women here in America, and we read selections from Jambalaya
Okay.
and the original works of these women.
Okay.
Now, what happens here is there is a beautiful sharing, a cultivation of global community. We
Nice.
sell tickets to this event, and the money from the tickets go toward the establishment of what we're calling Ibukole Estates Library and Gardens. We have a library be our headquarters. It's surrounded by palm trees. There's a place for garden in the back.
Wow.
There is a side house that we're going to turn into a library. And soon I will be asking people to go through their personal libraries, select the books that they no longer want, ship them to Ghana so that we can have a literacy program with
Beautiful.
our young people there. We're also
Wow.
looking at cleaning up toxic waste sites and turning them into gardens, doing historical tours. So we'll be going to Elmina Castle, which was the old slave castle, and performing rituals to put an end to slavery everywhere. Okay. Now, what
Yes.
I'm loving about it is as I have invited people and talked with people about this project, we now have a sister in Tanzania who's saying, come, one in Kenya who's saying, come, something in the Congo just opened up, come.
Wow.
There's somebody in Japan, in Greece, in Colombia, the whole globe. The the need, one of the things the pandemic did is showed us that we need global kinship.
Oh, yes. Mm,
Okay.
mm.
And the Words Across the Water project is furthering global kinship. So that's one thing that you'll be able to find on my website. The other thing that I'm very, very excited about is I have a series of classes coming up called Paths to Paradise. And I want you all to hear me very clearly on this. Right now, in Washington, D.C., they're arguing about capitalism versus socialism. Okay. That ain't got nothing to do with us.
Mm,
That has nothing to do with us
mm.
because neither one of those systems can make an apple. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going directly to the energy that can make an apple,
Hmm.
and we are looking at indigenous ways of doing economics. We're looking at 21st
Oh,
century economics that does not exploit the earth,
beautiful.
that makes use of the resources we already have,
Mm.
that works to close the wealth gap
Wow.
and to stimulate our creativity. That's what that course is all about, is how we go in that direction. Okay.
Wow.
And then we have the Mirror in the Water series, which is all about honoring the sacredness of water
Mm.
here on this planet. And I'm also working to highlight reparations. Okay,
Oh,
reparations and improved relationship, racial healing, and economic equity.
wow.
Okay, I
Mm.
mean, there's so many wonderful, so many wonderful things that we can do to restore the planet and restore our human relationships. That the big challenge is to not become disheartened
Yes.
by the ugliness
Yes.
that is out here. So, I know we got to go soon, but here's what I want to say very, very clearly. You can find all of these connections with me on my website,
Mm.
www.yeyeluisateish.com. You can email me at yeyeluisateish@gmail. I have an Instagram. I'll go back in June, not for May, but in June I'll go back to doing a Facebook Live every Sunday at 6. And the real important thing that I want you all to know is when the pandemic first hit, I came to my Oshun shrine and I said, Mother, please tell me, what am I to do? She said, you are to bring as much beauty, joy, and kinship as you can and keep your eye on the government.
Wow. Okay.
Know that
Hmm.
I do what Oshun tells me to do.
Yes.
I don't play with it. Okay. I don't play with her.
No.
I ain't crazy,
No.
right?
No.
And so I will always be on that job. Anybody who's listening can go to my website and get on my mailing list, and you'll be notified of everything that I am doing. I want to thank you. Yeah,
Well,
Carolyn, I want to
oh,
thank you for your shining smile, for
oh,
your loving presence, for
oh.
opening up this opportunity for me to talk with your people.
Oh, well, you are more than welcome. And there you have it, everybody. The amazing Louisah Teish. And check out her website, all her resources. Look for the new digital Jambalaya that's coming. And who knows what more? Maybe a chance to travel to Ghana.
Yes, baby.
That's right. So
We're headed
thank
for
you.
March of 22.
All right, you can put my name, just sign me up right there. Thank
Okay.
you so much for being my guest today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that fabulous interview. Louisah Teish has just been an inspiration for me for many years, and I'm sure there are many other women out there who feel the same. She's just such a warm and wondrous presence. So I hope you enjoyed the interview. I hope you remember our message today, which is about being that hierophant, that connection between heaven and earth, hearing the guidance from Spirit, and then speaking our truth without fear or favor. So I'm going to leave you with that little message. This is Carolyn Wilkins, wishing you the very best of times, and I will see you again in another episode soon. Bye for now.
Thoughts are things with the energy to make life better for you and for me. Touch the light.